Welcome back to Sister Circle Live. Our next guest is a preacher, author, mother, and wife who is using her personal life experiences to encourage and inspire so many others.
Absolutely, and we're so excited to have her here today to talk about the weapons of spiritual warfare and how to become a ferocious warrior. Please welcome Pastor Cora Jakes Coleman.
Yay! Hello. Well, welcome to the show. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Doing very well. Of course, you know, we got to talk about Daddy. Growing up as the daughter, one of the daughters of T.D. Jakes, who was named America's Best Preacher by Time Magazine.
Wow, that's good, girl.
We already know the stories about PKs. Did you feel like you had to go in this route, or was that a calling?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. My parents never pressured us to become preachers or to be on the stage. Since I was a little girl, I wanted to be a preacher like my daddy. So I watched him, I studied him, I still watch him and study him, and it's been an honor and a pleasure to be able to carry on his legacy.
That is beautiful.
Oh, that is good.
Yes, yes.
So, Cora, you have two beautiful children.
Yes.
Yes, and motherhood has to be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
How has it impacted your ministry?
Motherhood has given me much patience for ministry. You have to be patient with kids. You have to figure out what works for each one. What works for my daughter doesn't work for my son, and vice versa. And I feel like that is how ministry is. Everything doesn't work for the same person. So it's allowed me patience and really enjoying the process. You know, I'm a process girl. So having them, it's just amazing watching them grow and watching them develop to their own little personalities.
You know, I want to piggyback on the first question I had. As you talk about motherhood, how did you find your unique calling, you know, to separate yourself, differentiate yourself from your family?
That's a good question. I think that I've always been kind of very transparent and blunt, more so than anybody else in my family. My dad always says she's in a spot all over. And so I've always been very comedic, very fun, very accessible. And I think that that is what kind of sets me apart from everybody else in the family. They're kind of in their own little corner.
Yeah. So let's talk about the journey to writing Ferocious Warrior. What's that journey been like for you?
Well, I didn't really deem myself a ferocious warrior. The people saw me pray, and every time I pray, I pray a little ferocious. So I think that they developed the ferocious warrior in me. The battles that I've fought, infertility and depression and just insecurity, it developed something in me that makes me relentless, and I wake up in the morning trying to find ways to really tick the devil off. You know, just any kind of way I can do it. I look for ways to upset him.
That's good. I like that. I like that. It's interesting that you say that, because some people look for ways to just be a nuisance. You know what I'm saying? And so I love that you're like, no, I'm going to stand in my truth. I love the Lord, and I'm going to, you know, he's not winning today.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we talk a little bit about spiritual fight, and you talk about the weapons of a spiritual warfare. It's definitely different from physical. What are some of the things that you can identify with to know that you're in a spiritual warfare?
I think that anything that pulls you away from being the best version of yourself is a war. And we battle with standing in our confidence and standing in who we are called to be. And so a lot of times depression, anxiety, that breakup, that husband acting a fool, your kids acting crazy, are ways that the enemy uses in our modern time to kind of distract us, detour us, and delay us from our destiny. And so when we talk about weapons, prayer and reading your word and worship are things you need to do together. You can't do one without the other. They all work together. And once you master your weapons, then you become a ferocious warrior.
So give us some weapons that we could use. Is that calling in the prayer warriors? Is that falling on on your face yourself? Like, yeah, tell me about it.
You are the warrior. So prayer, I believe you must be specific in prayer. You can't just kind of tiptoe around. It's not your time to be embarrassed or ashamed about what you're going through. No one knows like you what you're going through. So when you go to the Lord in prayer, it is important that you surround yourself with your truth. And you allow that to be your weapon. The enemy doesn't expect you to be transparent with God. And so,
well, God knows already. He knows even before you do it, so why not?
And so he doesn't expect that. He expects that we will tie ourselves to shame. We'll tie ourselves to embarrassment. We'll hide.
That's tricks.
We'll
That
lie.
is tricks.
Yeah,
That's
the
good.
tricks of the enemy. And so it's important that when you go to prayer, you're authentic. When you worship, you're authentic, and you don't allow your situations to suppress your success.
Ooh, that's good. That's
real
good, Pastor Cora. Now, you know, we are very, very stalkerish on this show, and we go down to the Instagram. It gives us
We
great
have producers
information.
that do it. It's not us.
Yes.
Okay,
So
okay,
we
we'll go
pulled
with
a
that.
few quotes from your Instagram that
Yes,
we would
ma'am.
like for you to elaborate on briefly.
Okay.
And the first one is, religion raised you, but only relationship will save you.
Yes, I believe that we grew up in churches telling you what you can wear, what you can do. You're short, your skirt's too short, you can't wear that hat, you can't do this. And there's all these religious rules. And I believe that once you get into a relationship with God, it kind of erases religion. And so I don't have a religion, I have a relationship that doesn't allow the rules of people to dictate how I walk.
Yes, I love that.
Really quickly, here's one. If you aren't careful, your environment will take the integrity out of your character.
Yeah, you've got to be careful who you hang out with. The people that you surround yourself with, the surroundings that you choose to be in, if they are not benefiting your integrity, they're dishonoring it.
Oh my goodness. One last one. Or maybe two more. Stop sowing your seeds into popularity, but no prosperity. Popularity doesn't mean fruitful.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
Get them on the Instagram.
We often will spend more money making sure that everybody that we see is successful than we do putting it into grounds that are going to produce for us. And so popularity is something that we often invest in more so than producing purpose in our own life.
That's
preaching today.
yummy. Can you do one more, Ms.
I got
Cora?
one more too, and this is good. This one is almost saying silence is gold, and it says here, silence can't be quoted or misinterpreted. Sometimes the best thing to do is to be quiet.
That's what my mama said.
Yeah.
That's not my quote. Whenever I get upset, or any of us, because my family, we're all on social media. So, you know, trolls and enemies, they just come out.
Yes.
And so my mom always tells us that silence can't be quoted. And so you don't have to respond to everything. You don't have to react to everything. You need to know what to respond to and what not to.
That's good. That's good. Silence is golden. Well, Pastor Cora, you have preached the word down to the circle today. We definitely appreciate you. If you can definitely begin to conquer your enemies by picking up her book, Ferocious Warrior. And for inspiration and encouragement, like you just heard, follow her on Instagram at @CJakesColeman. Thank you so much.